Valheim just dropped perhaps its biggest Deep North teaser yet. In both episode 9 of the Journey of Hervor Bloodtooth, and even better, 3 sneaky screenshots that has everyone speculating that Valheim might be getting season variations with its 1.0 release later this year. But I don't think that's going to be the case. And through the mist at the center of this image, I think tells us everything we need to know. But don't worry, I'm going to break it all down in this video, and by the end, I will reveal what I think my theory is for the Deep North based on all this new information. Okay, let's watch Hervor Bloodtooth Part 9. Let's get into it. Okay, I already have to pause this. I wish I identified this myself, but I've been watching other videos of people covering this, and apparently the wind blowing the hair of Hervor here is new, potentially. Apparently it doesn't work this way. Just wanted to point that out.
Haunted by dreams lately, in which I am a raven.
Okay, we have mistlands covered in snow.
I soar across this world that I've come to know, but it is not the same.
Plains covered in snow.
The landscape has gone
very
from
obviously
green and fertile to cold and barren.
And swamps covered in snow.
Perhaps it is just this frozen north that has been getting to me. Yet, what if it's not?
What if it's not? So, to summarize here, it looks like we have Hervor, who's in the Deep North. We know we've been following her for a while. She's in the Deep North, and she's having visions of the world covered in snow. And she's wondering, is it visions? Is it not? And I think we can all assume it's probably not visions. This is probably something that's happening in the world. So a lot of people started speculating whether this is going to be seasons that are coming to Valheim, kind of like seasonality mod by Rusty Mods, a mod that we've checked out on our channel. And I don't think so. And I think most people kind of realize that that's probably not the case for a lot of good reasons. It would kind of ruin the gameplay loop as in the game currently. So like going to the mountains is freezing temperatures. So the gameplay loop is you get materials that help you, advance in there to protect you from the temperatures. But what if that happens in the meadows now when it becomes winter? I don't know. It just kind of seems counter to how the gameplay loop currently works right now. So I really don't think that's the case. In addition to this video, we also got some images. So this is clearly the plains covered in snow again. We've got the Mosquito, we got fueling, but there's not much here. Although we will come back to this image in a little bit because there's something in here that could be teasing something, but we'll get back to that in a second. Another theory I've heard, but someone was speculating that maybe they're changing how you transition from biome to biome and make it a little bit more gradual. So say you're in the meadows and you're walking up to a mountains. The cold and snow could like come out of the mountains biome a little bit further into the meadows. Maybe make it seem like a little bit more gradual transitions between the biomes. And I think that's like a good guess, but I kind of do doubt it. Here's the meadows, and you can see like there's meadows, there's a lot of snow. It seems a little bit too far going to be an increase to the transition to a biome, and we'll get to what's in the middle here in a little bit. I just don't see that. It seems like based on the screenshots, it doesn't appear to be that. Now, before we get to what I think is the most likely theory and the theory that I think is going to be, what actually becomes reality, there was one other screenshot that they did share that I do want to take a look at. The new workstation, they're calling it the Forge Foundry. Maybe it's a whole new workstation, like in addition to the Forge and Black Forge, but it's probably most likely, especially considering the fact that the Black Forge you can see here in the background, it's probably an upgrade to this workstation, the Black Forge. However, it's just huge, right? It's massive. And usually that's not the case. Like, the Black Forge cooler, the vise, the metal cutter that you can see in right next to the Black Forge here, those are all significantly smaller than the Black Forge itself. So it'd be a little bit different for the upgrade to be so huge. But I think at this stage of the game, they've only just introduced the Black Forge in the Mistlands. I can kind of see it being continued. It might be a little bit too far-fetched for them to add a whole new workstation, but it could be. We'll see. And if you do remember, they did tease these kind of molds a little while ago. So there's some speculation, at least my speculation, that the new metal in the biome is going to be gold, and that maybe you melt gold and you pour it into these molds, and then that's how you forge stuff at this new workstation, maybe to create the new armor in the biome. That's just my guess. But now, so my favorite theory, the thing that I think is most likely, as a result of these teases, and let's go back to our Meadows image, is what we've got right here in the middle. So what you can see here, we zoom in, there's some massive crystals, and it looks like there's something here in the middle. So I actually had someone email me, Tungstwin, shout out to Tungstwin, he sent me an email, and he said, just turn up the contrast in this image now a little bit better. This little piece in the middle, it looks like some kind of tower type structure, maybe, hard to say. And it looks like there's some light light reflecting off of it. I'm thinking this is something that has potentially fallen from the sky. And the reason I say that is we go back to our plains image, you might have noticed in the corner here, that looks like some kind of fireball, right? Now we've seen fireballs. We've seen fireballs from Yagluth. Yagluth has an attack that summons fireballs. We also have a Fader who summons fireballs, who also falls from the sky. So my guess is that maybe as a result of some kind of event in the game, there's going to be a trigger where suddenly these some kind of meteors are going to start falling from the sky, landing across the game, and basically freezing everything in a radius around it. So let's say this fireball falls from the sky, it lands in the meadows right here, it leaves this kind of crystal structure in the middle with crystals that form all the way around it, and then slowly starts freezing everything around it. So my guess is this is probably related to, you know, after you defeat Fader, perhaps. Like, we know we currently have events in the game, right? And the way that usually works with normal progression is you defeat a boss. So let's say you defeat the Elder in the Black Forest. That then triggers Bowmass's army raids. So you'll start seeing skeletons, you'll start seeing wraiths, you'll start seeing blobs start raiding you. And those raids are typically called Bowmass's army because now that you've defeated the Elder, you're hunting Bowmass and his army's starting to seek you out. Same thing with the Queen today. You suddenly get Fader's army, so you start getting Charred raids and things like that. So in addition to those raids, it's possible now, once you defeat Fader, these events are going to start occurring and start freezing the different biomes, freezing the swamps, freezing the mistlands that we all saw in the video. And, you know, maybe these things are going to be mineable for resources that now enable us to get to the Deep North. Who really knows? We don't really know what these things are going to be used for. Likely case is these are triggered by defeating Fader, you know, the late game biome in the game right now. Although I've still got this theory, after you defeat the Mistlands boss, the Queen, you'll have a choice of either going to the north to fight the Deep North or going to the south to fight the Ashlands, with both biomes being like relatively equal. However, that kind of runs counter to, if you remember the first Hervor Bloodtooth video, she goes to the Deep North in a Viking ship. So I was really expecting that, you know, you make the Drakar after defeating the Queen that allows you to go through the hot waters in the south. I was thinking maybe there'd be some kind of icebreaker, or the Drakar would enable you to go through ice in the north to allow you to get the Deep North, because there has to be some kind of restriction to prevent you from going to the Deep North prematurely. Like the hot water in the south is what prevents you from going to the Ashlands. So you need to defeat the Queen to go there. And maybe it's not the water, maybe it's something on land that's actually preventing it. And there has been some speculation that there's going to be deep snow in the Deep North. So maybe the restriction is some kind of device that you have to craft that allows you to go over the deep snow, like snowshoes, for example. That's another theory. Maybe you can craft those from farming these crystals. You get some kind of material that allows you to make that item. Make sure you let me know in the comments below what you think this is all about, because, I mean, we're all just speculating. Who knows? And by now, you're probably pretty hyped for the Deep North. But can it live up to the hype? Find out in this video right here.